Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me for this segment, we have Todd Groth, Head of Index Research at CoinDesk, to discuss CoinDesk Research Trend Indicators and what they suggest for the crypto summer lull. Todd, it's great to see you as always. Welcome back to Trade Talks.
Thanks, Jill. Good to have you.
You got it. Let's talk about that summer lull. It feels as if the crypto space is in a wait-and-see mode, and a lot of that is due to a spot Bitcoin ETF approval. What do you see out there right now? Why do you think it's delayed? I mean, just how many are out there looking for an approval?
That's a great question. I mean, that's what we're exactly seeing in our Bitcoin trend indicators for Bitcoin, and these are both available on CoinDeskMarkets.com. For a Bitcoin trend indicator, we're seeing neutral, so range-bound markets. Ethereum slightly trending lower, but really, it's a wait and see moment. Again, we have the spot Bitcoin for ARC 21 shares has been delayed. And we have a lot of entrants to the spot ETF market, as well as Ethereum futures ETFs. We have all this pent up product waiting to be listed, but just in the meantime, it's a bit of a lull because we're just waiting for that spot ETF to hit the market.
Todd, what do you think some of the delays are due to? Is it because of the lack of a more cohesive regulatory framework, and that's what's holding the process up?
A lot of it has to do with the observing the crypto markets, because there is concern over the transparency of the markets and if there's any sort of manipulation of the markets. I know what we saw with when the BlackRock filing occurred in June. The big innovation was that they would use a Coinbase to surveillance the markets to make sure that there was no sort of manipulation. So really looking for that partner. The Nasdaq was a chosen partner as well for their surveillance services to just see if there's any sort of price manipulation in the market, which then would give more confidence for investors into these products.
Which is so interesting that it's delayed for another reason as well. I mean, realized volatility this summer has been relatively low. I mean, if you want to talk about it being a volatile asset, you haven't really seen much of that this summer.
No, absolutely. I mean, we are at levels of realized volatility on Bitcoin that are similar to the U.S. Treasury long bond ETF, TLT, which would be the day that never thought it'd be the day that the long bond would be about as volatile as Bitcoin. Ethereum as well. I mean, we are at 1 percentiles in terms of realized vol on a 60-day, 90-day basis. So it's quite low. Look, equities are picking up in volatility a little bit. Rates are rising, but crypto really we're still range bound. We're on the lower end of the range. You know, we've been going to hugging around 30,000 on Bitcoin. Now we're down to 29. But really, it seems like anytime we go above 30, those rallies are sold. And then we're seeing right now that we sort of bottom on 29. So just really waiting for what looks like most likely ongoing summer lull, and then really pick back up in September.
Do you think Bitcoin or just crypto in general is really starting to decouple from what we're seeing in the broader market? I mean, tech stocks had a phenomenal summer. Bitcoin certainly seems to be decoupled from that momentum.
We have seen decoupling, reducing correlation. But that's really just because we haven't really had any overlapping events in the markets. It is interesting because as rates are rising, here we're at the 10-year now is at over 4.25, 30-year mortgage is over 7.5. The rates market has also decoupled from both crypto and equities. So we really haven't had that common event shock that has hit both crypto and equities simultaneously to then reinforce that correlation. So in the meantime, because there hasn't been much news in the crypto markets, we've just seen that lull is resulting in on every day that there's no new information relative to equities keep on climbing higher, we're seeing a decoupling. Exactly.
So do you expect crypto to remain, well, let's say Bitcoin and Ethereum to remain range bound throughout the rest of the summer or even through Q4? And what are some of those key psychological levels for Bitcoin and Ethereum that these assets need to crack to keep moving upward?
I think for Bitcoin specifically, that level is 32K. For Ethereum, it's 2,000. Once we go to higher than that, and really what we need is we need that spot ETF decision. Once that happens, then we'll have a lot of change in the markets. We'll most likely see a conversion of the grayscale GBTC into a spot, because that'll have a path forward. And then we'll see a lot of additional players. I mean, but in the meantime, we have sort of this, everyone's chomping at the bit effectively. BlackRock, Wisdom Tree, ARC 21 shares, Valkyrie, VanEck, Fidelity, Invesco. Everyone is just waiting for that spot ETF to occur.
Well, Todd, let me ask you about that. To convert GBTC right into that spot ETF, I mean, it sounds as if that infrastructure already exists. How is that different than just a fresh ETF launching? Or are the wrappers, is the construction of it different?
It is different in that it needs to have a redemption mechanism, a creation and redemption mechanism, which would be like an ETF. I think it's really it's just determining what is required for a spot ETF, and then from there that'll be a very it'll line up the roadmap for GBTC to quickly convert, and for that matter, any of the other the spot trusts to move into to really fully be two-way to both have the creation and redemption mechanism. Right now, it's just a creation mechanism. We need to have that redemption mechanism for it to be a true ETF product.
All right, Todd, appreciate the insight as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.